I really love this video of Courtney Hancock because it shows the amount of skills of a great swimmer. Not only just to be able to be fast, as you can see here, she's winning and just riding the wave with incredible skill, but also to enjoy the water. It's quite a fantastic little clip that I really like. Hello, my name is Miguel Vadillo and I'm going to share here a little bit of what I have learned in 45 years of being in the world of swimming. I have been involved in swimming since age 5 and I have never really been away from it. I have been involved in all kinds of swimming: pool swimming, open water swimming, recreational and competitive. I have been since I was a little kid, and I have been coaching little kids. I have been in low-key competitions all the way to World Cups of pentathlon, for example, where swimming is one of the events in that sport. Over the last 10 years, I have been developing a way to explain swimming to all kinds of swimmers, from people that don't know how to swim, as you can tell this lady here, to incredibly gifted athletes. I have been very fortunate to have all that spectrum, and over these years and the other 35 years of experiences as a competitive swimmer, I believe that I have come to the conclusion that even though all the knowledge is there, when we put together all the drills and the kick and the pace and all techniques that we can use, at the end of the day, there are these 3 simple concepts that really matter when it comes to swimming. And if we only focus on these ones, then everything else that we are doing in the water will start, in my experience, to make a much better sense. And once it makes sense, it's a little bit easier to achieve specific goals. The first one of these concepts is breathing. For almost all my life, I have been watching swimming coaches talking about different techniques and different drills and a way to become faster and stronger, and speed is always a concern, especially for pool swimming. And later on, muscular endurance to sustain that speed, all those kind of things. But very rarely, really, I have seen or heard any coach to go in depth talking about breathing. And there is many little aspects here that we should be paying attention though. And the first one is the fact that most people, when we're in survival mode at the beginning of our journey in swimming, we tend to hold the breath, and that's one of the first things that we need to avoid at all costs. As you can see here with this photo, you can see this lady is not breathing out, and that becomes really exhausting in a very short period of time. We always should be breathing out through our nose, through our mouth, or through both, whatever comes natural to you. But that's the first thing that needs to be in place. And for some people it is very easy and comes natural, and from some others it's incredibly difficult, because it is about being in a kind of like hostile environment where you are literally fighting for your life in the water. And there's other people that don't have any problem, they're relaxed, they're easy in the water, and they can do it easy. But this is the first important concept that we need to understand and practice and master if we are to swim well. Before we go further on with breathing and a little bit more detail, it is important to make a stop and talk about the second concept, that is balance, because both of them go hand in hand. You cannot have a good breathing pattern without balance, and you will not have balance if you don't have a good breathing rhythm that allows you to sustain it. So this is the second concept that is really important to have. As you can see here, Kira is swimming very, very slow with a considerable current against her, but her body is always on the surface and it seems to be very easy for her. The reason it looks like this is because you can tell that she has an enormous balance there. Her body never sinks at any point for any reason. She is patient enough to wait with her hand on the front until the other one lands, so she always keeps the balance and hold the body with the core on top of the surface at all time. Here in the slow motion clip, you can tell how Kira is really waiting with one hand in the front until the other one lands, almost catch up. That way her whole body is on the surface, keeping at all times in balance, and you may notice that she's not taking a lot of breaths. That makes it a lot easier for her until now that she's going to take one. And there's a lot of little things in place there. Her rotation and her head position, it is really quite fantastic, and that's why she's one of the fastest swimmers today in triathlon. The reason I wanted to jump forward a little bit and talk about balance is because they, as I mentioned before, they are hand in hand. With the balance, then you can develop good breathing habits with good position, and with good breathing, then the balance is going to be something that comes to you easy. The two of them work together to make you a better swimmer. Now that we established that breathing and balance go hand in hand, we can start talking a little bit more about the differences that there are in different ways to take a breath that are very common in different swimmers in different situations. Here you have a few pictures of American Olympian Chloe Sutton. She is a really great swimming teacher. She has a YouTube channel. You should check it out, Chloe Sutton. And here you're seeing one of the common mistakes that many swimmers do, that is over-rotating to take a breath. So the face really overdo it, and you end up looking at the sky, looking at the ceiling, thinking that that's gonna give you a little bit more time to breathe, which is, in some ways, it can be real, but the reality is that at the same time it causes quite a bit of a ripple effect later, because your hips over rotate and then you create more friction, which is counterproductive for you going forward. Another common mistake on breathing that we can see often is this image that you can see here, how her head is really high up over the surface, almost creating a barrier against the water, creating like a wall against the water. And literally swimmers that do this, they are stopping themselves at all times. And this usually happens with people that are learning how to swim or have developed a bad habit over the years because nobody corrected it. And the problem with that is that then it's mixed with the problem with the hips for the over rotation. And I have seen many times people that do both. They look at the ceiling and they over rotate and then also lift the face up, and usually are the beginners that are, as I mentioned before, in kind of survival mode. That's why it's so important to have the balance, because once we have balance, then it's easy for the body to be relaxed on top of the surface and then start moving comfortably to learn the good pattern and rewire the brain to be doing the right development of muscle memory to swim and take breaths more effectively. So you're gonna say, okay, you are just showing me how is that everybody does it wrong. How is it that looks when it's well done? So here it is. On this image, you can see how the one goggle is submerged into the water. Half of the mouth, it is submerged in the water, but her head is kind of resting on the water, very close to the shoulder that is extended, even though you don't see it on the image over here, but you can see that she's kind of like sort of relaxed on top of the water, and that way there is very little friction. All the friction that could have come has been reduced because the head position is really on a line, and this line means the head is aligned with the spine and is parallel to the surface of the water. So how can we achieve this position, and how can we master the balance with the breathing? The first thing that I would like to recommend to anyone that really is interested in improving and changing the way that we usually do it is to slow down. And as the example that we're seeing right now, usually with my athletes, I make them stop, and with their legs on the ground, so we have total balance, we start very slowly start moving one arm first, then the other arm, and separate one arm only and then the other one separately, and then we start doing both arms at the same time. You can tell here that Raquel is breathing on both sides on every time, so she needs the time when the face is in the water to exhale, to be able to be ready to take it in when she... Another important part here is, if you notice, she is always breathing in a way that her head is coming back into the water before the hand. She takes a breath there, the face is in the water, and then the hand lands after the head. That little detail there is the key to be able to handle everything. Rhythm with the balance and a proper rhythm on the breathing. One part that is really important is to make sure that we are connecting our thoughts with the movements that we're doing and the way it feels. I cannot stress how important is this, and to be able to achieve this, that is why the recommendation is to stop and do things in a different way. If we're swimming, always trying to achieve pace times and to rest and just to feel that we're having a good workout, so be it, that is good, but really it's not going to help our technique. To be able to really make meaningful changes in the way we move in the water, we need to stop and restart and reset and do everything as slow as possible, so the body relearn and the brain gets rewired to develop a new muscle memory. All this takes time and patience, but once you feel the water in a different way, you will start seeing the results of having a better balance and therefore a more comfortable breathing. And then we can go next to the third of the three concepts. The one thing that is gonna always move us from point A to point B is the power. Power almost never is going to work by itself. We need the breathing because the breathing keeps us on top of the surface. The more air we have in us, the easier it is for the body to float. And we need the balance to allow us to be able to use the power effectively to move through the water without as much friction against ourselves. The three concepts need to work together simultaneously to make us be able to be on the surface and enjoy the water and be fast. In this clip you can see the three things that we have been talking about up to this point are in place. These two ladies are swimming really smooth, waiting for the hand in the front to start the next stroke until the other one is arriving into the water. They make it look easy because they have done the drills that you have seen before, standing up in the bottom of the pool over and over and over again. Swimming is a sport of repetition, and as I mentioned before, we need to be very patient and we need to be perseverant into really developing that muscle memory that will allow us to swim as smooth as these two ladies are swimming here. Now, the more power we have, the faster we will move in the water, and there's many different ways that we can achieve that. One of them is the use of equipment. You can see in this clip that these two ladies are wearing fins on their feet and they're wearing paddles. The two of them are wearing the Catalyst TYR paddles because I believe they are the best paddles that allows you to actually move in the water the way you need to move, because they are very unforgiving. When you don't get the right position, the paddle make you feel it and you very quickly learn how to fix it. I do believe that swimming with paddles is very important, and I would recommend it to at least 40% of your workouts to have paddles on your hands so you can actually feel the water better and feel that you necessarily move slower, but at the same time your body is traveling through the water at a much faster speed. Another very important aspect of power is that not necessarily means that if you have more power you're gonna be faster by moving faster. Like in this clip you can see the person at the bottom of the screen is having a much faster cadence in the end than the person that is in the middle, the two men that are on the clip here. And you can tell how different it is the way they're moving, and it's all about how much water they can hold and how much power, with the power that they can actually hold that water and push it backwards. That is a very important distinction over there. Now, in this clip that I'm about to show you, we have this opportunity to film the contrast over here. The two swimmers at the bottom of the screen are new, Ian and Kathy, and they are practicing breathing drills and balance drills, and then finally we start working a little bit with the power that they needed to have in order to move through the water. And it just happened that this lady on the top of the screen was there, not part of the class, not part of the training. She was just swimming on her own over there, and she was a regular, but she always swims like that. And it was a marvelous opportunity to show the difference in contrast. So the three of them start at the same time, and this lady at the top of the screen just goes. There's no balance. She is pushing the head up to take a breath, creating a lot of friction against herself. And Kathy and Ian at the bottom of the screen, you can tell that they have been working slowly in to make sure that they have balance. One arm waits for the other one, and they grab as much water as they can to be able to move properly. Their faces are not high up, the head is not high up, they have a good position over there. And at the end of the day, as you can tell here, the result of all that is the very incredible difference in the output of energy that each of these swimmers are putting over here. Like the lady at the top had 69 strokes on that 25. Ian in the middle had 23 strokes, and Kathy at the bottom had 25 strokes. So the lady at the top is spending 3 times more energy to move from point A to point B, while the other two guys with good balance and swimming calmly, they can actually be much more effective and cover the distance faster. So next I am borrowing video from Effortless Swimming YouTube channel, where the guy there is also a great resource for anyone to know about swimming, and they have a great explanation, and this video will help me to explain how everything works together for you. Now, before we see an example of how everything works together, I would like to make a point here to make sure that we practice and develop this very helpful habit of pushing off the wall properly. See, for good or for bad, we mostly train in pools, and the pools have the walls, and it is just a waste of opportunities if we are not using it properly. This use of the wall will give you two things that people usually don't think about. One is the ability to improve your cardiovascular endurance, because every time you get into the wall you push off very explosively, which drains your energy system, and you at the same time are holding your breath or breathing slowly, and that makes a delay on the time that you can actually get air. That combination is going to give you a fitness that is really difficult to recreate otherwise. So here it is. You start by pushing off the wall as fast as hard as you can. While you're traveling through the water, your body needs to be tight, but at the same time relaxed. It's not too tight that you're super tense and your body is sinking. You are in total control of your position over there. The idea is that this position, after you push off the wall, it will be the fastest you will ever be in the water in any given distance of the pool. You will put one hand on top of the other in front of you. Your face is going to be tucked in between your arms. Your ears have been covering by your shoulders, so you can tell there. And the idea is that you are on a straight line forward with the least amount of friction in a V that you're cutting through the water. As soon as you reach this moment, two things need to start happening. You're blowing out through your nose or your mouth, that you can tell here, and immediately before you start losing speed, you will start engaging your core to be able to maintain the same position over there and start the kick to maintain the speed. And here I would like to add a couple things that I haven't touched yet. First, it is a myth that when you are kicking, your knees cannot bend. There's many people that kick like they have two wooden legs, and that's not the case. You can tell here that you actually bend your knees. And the second one is that the core is the one that is creating the power, and the legs are just the vessel that are taking that power, pushing the water down and up and down and up to maintain that speed in this streamline that we call it here. And here you can see it all put together. Dan Smith, the Olympian that you can see here, is swimming comfortably, and you can tell how easy he makes it look. If we go back a little bit, the head is on the surface, same as the hips, almost at the same line. There is a straight line of the body that is showing the balance that he has been able to achieve. The eyes are looking slightly forward, down, not up, not down. The shoulder is aligned, the armpit there is aligned with the ear, which means on the rotation is on the same axis there, slightly up, and then the rotation of the hips allows him to maintain and transfer the power from the core all the way up to the stretched arm on the front. The legs from the tip of the toes all the way to the hips are on the same one line, never drops. It goes up to the surface, the heel breaks the surface, and then is going down, but in the same line. The legs are used here mostly for balance. It is very powerful. Every time the feet go down, are getting him somewhere. But it's not a super fast kick. It's a line on the opposite arm. The right leg goes down when the left arm is in the front, and vice versa, keeping the entire body in a high level balance, as you can tell here. All right, let's watch it all put together in this little clip. And don't get me wrong, in a few minutes it's really difficult to cover everything that has to do with swimming and swimming well. But what we did is just simplify it to the really basic things that we really need to be able to swim well. And if you watch closely on this clip that I'm going to show you, that is the same Olympian athlete Dan Smith swimming this 100, and makes it look really smooth and really easy, even though it is not. As you can tell, there's a lot of little things at play that need to be in place to be able to make it look like that. A breathing rhythm that fuels the entire time the movement forward. A balance that maintains the body on top of the surface, and an enormous amount of power that propels him forward, that comes from the feet going down on the kick, and then the core, and that power from the core gets translated on every single stroke from the fingertips all the way to the shoulders. So let's wrap up this with me telling you that, in my opinion, we always need to put together workouts where we have a purpose, and this purpose should be always be thought in a way that we're achieving, whether it is a better way to breathe, a better rhythm, a better balance position, or how to develop more power, whether it's with the legs, with the core, with arms. And we can do a whole universe of drills that can help us to achieve those three goals. The sky's the limit when it comes to creativity to create those drills. We can do it alone, or we can do it in groups. In groups is usually much more fun, and I strongly recommend to try to put together things in a group, because not only get us to where we want to go, it's always a joy, and it's a lot of fun. Thank you for listening to this. I hope that in one way or another this was a little bit helpful for most of you, and that you can take away something that is useful for you in your daily practices. And let's finish just with a few examples of little drills that we have done over the past. Always fun to do and always helpful to achieve any of the three concepts: good breathing, great balance, and a lot of power. See you at the other side.